Hi everyone, welcome to another tutorial with Welvin. In this tutorial, I will be taking you through the process of integrating a push notification in your RS-PHP RAD Classic project. This tutorial will be divided into several parts. We would focus on the client-side code in part 1 of this tutorial, where we would work on writing the code for our service worker and installation of our service worker. We would also work on some helper functions to help us get a client browser notification subscription, which is used for sending a push notification. With no further ado, let's get started. You might be asking, what is a push notification? How does a push notification work? And what is a service worker? Well, in the video, I will explain all that to you. What is a push notification? According to Google, a push notification is an automated message sent by an application to a user when the application is not open. This means a user of your app does not need to have your app open on their device to receive a push notification from you. How does a push notification work? I will explain the way a push notification works in a browser with a flow diagram. When you visit a web app that has push notification configured, the push notification service worker is installed, and a notification permission request is triggered by the website asking you to permit it. If this permission is accepted, a subscribe request is made to the browser's push service, example, Google Cloud Messaging Service, and a response is returned. Our web app gets the subscription response and sends it to our server, for it to be stored in the database. When our web app wants to push a notification to the device, it pulls the user subscription from the database, encodes the subscription and message we want to send, and post it to the push service. The push service verifies that the request made is from the web app that triggered the subscription on the user's browser, then it makes a connection to the user's browser and triggers the onPush event. Our service worker, which is running in the background and listening for the onPush event, gets the message and displays it. What is a service worker? According to Google, a service worker is a script that your browser runs in the background, separate from a web page, opening the door to features that don't need a web page or user interaction. Now, let's get into the coding and configuration aspect of this video. After creating the project and configuring authentication, the next thing we need to do is to add the code that handles the installation of our service worker. It is usually placed at the top of the page, within the head tags. The next thing to do is to move our service worker to the root of our website, in such a way that accessing the service worker file publicly would be the domain name / the file name. These are the content of the notification sw.js file. In the description of this video, I will provide links to topics for you to read more about service workers. Next, we add our JavaScript helper functions for getting notification permission and subscription. Vapid, according to vapidkeys.com, stands for Voluntary Application Server Identity. It is a new way to send and receive website push notifications. Your Vapid keys allow you to send web push campaigns without having to send them through a service like Firebase Cloud Messaging, or FCM. The Vapid keys are a pair of public and private keys. The public key can be shared publicly, like using it in our JS code, which can be seen by the user. But the private key should be kept private and should be used only on the server. Because if the private key is made public, any user with the private key would be able to impersonate your web app. You can either use an online tool like vapidkeys.com, or you could use OpenSSL to generate them. To generate them with OpenSSL, you have to make sure you have the OpenSSL installed on your computer. I will open up my command prompt and navigate to my desktop folder, where I would create a folder to store the keys I will generate. This command is to generate a Prime 256 version 1 private key that will be stored in a private_key.pem file. This private_key.pem file will be used to generate our Vapid private and public keys. This command will generate our Vapid public key, which will be stored in a public_key.txt file. And this command will generate our Vapid private key, which will be stored in a private_key.txt file. This code block checks if notification permission has been granted, denied, or has not been accepted or denied, then it calls the appropriate function. If the permission has been granted, it calls the subscribe user to push function. If the permission has not been granted or rejected, it calls the ask permission function. If the permission is denied, it logs an error to the browser's console indicating that it has not been granted notification permission. The subscribe user to push function is a function for subscribing a user to push notifications, using the public Vapid key provided. The ask permission function is a function for asking for push notification permission from a user. The unsubscribe user from push function is a function for unsubscribing a user from push notifications. The URL base64 to uint8 array function is a function for converting our Vapid public key to uint8 array. Let's preview and see what we have done so far. We just had a minor error. I am going to fix it and preview the project again. You can see my browser subscription has been gotten successfully, and this is what our application needs to send a push notification to my browser. And from here you can see our service worker has been installed and it is currently running. Since we have not gotten to the push server aspect, I am going to simulate sending a notification using this browser push. This is meant for testing if your notification service worker is working fine. As you can see, we are getting the notification as expected. Let us take a look at the service worker code. This is the title of the push notification. You can write it statically on this service worker file, or you could decide to send it from the server. And these are the options available to design how you want the notification to appear. We pass the push message to be displayed to the body. Let me show you the function of the action parameter. These are the buttons displayed to the user to take action on the notification. The second function on this file listens to the action taken on the notification and processes it accordingly. In this case, I made it redirect the user to my website using the action received from the user. In our next tutorial, we would focus on sending the subscription to our server to be stored in our database and later on use it to send notifications. And this is all for this tutorial. If you think I have missed something, do not hesitate to use the comments section. Thanks for watching, and thanks to all my patrons for their support. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, and also turn on notifications by clicking on the bell icon to get notified when I post new videos on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like. Thanks.